The duration of musical sounds, long or short, is indicated by different types of notes. The whole note that we see here has the longest note duration in modern music. Now the half note that we see here has half the duration of the whole note. Now two half notes occupy the same amount of time as one whole note. As we can see in this example, two half notes equal one whole note. Now the quarter note that we see here, this is a quarter note, is a fourth or a quarter of a whole note. And this means that one whole note consists of 4 quarter notes. Now this would then mean that 2 quarter notes that we see here, they would equal 1 half note. Now, as you remember, 2 half notes equal 1 whole note, and 4 quarter notes equal 1 whole note. Therefore, 2 quarter notes equal 1 half note. Now notes smaller in duration than a quarter note, they have flags. You see this thing over here? This is a flag. So notes smaller in duration than a quarter note, they have these flags. And this is actually an 8th note because it has 1 flag. Therefore, it is half the value of a quarter note. So there you see the example. 2 8 notes equal 1 quarter note. And you notice that these 8 notes, they have flags. And that's because, as I said before, that they are a smaller duration note than the quarter note. Now this is a 16th note. The 16th note has 2 flags, halving the value of the 8th note. As we remember, the 8th note had 1 flag, but the 16th note has 2 flags. And we notice that the first flag is here, and the second flag is here. And therefore, when we look at this example, we see that 2 16 notes equal 1 8 note. And again, let's look at the flags. Here are the 16 notes, and they have 2 flags, both of them. This one here and this one here. And the 8th note has only 1 flag. Although it's possible to have notes with 3 or more flags, they are seldomly used. You will encounter them, but not to begin with. Now on this chart, we can see the relationship of all 5 note types we have already discussed. On the top here, we have the whole note. Now the whole note consists of 2 half notes, as we've already discussed. Now each of these half notes, they consist of 2 quarter notes. So this one divides into 2 quarter notes. And over here we have the same thing going on. This one divides into 2 quarter notes. So these 2 half notes consist of 4 quarter notes. Now the same thing continues here below. Each quarter note consists of 2 eighth notes. So you can see the same thing is going on here and here and here. So we can say that these 4 quarter notes make up these 8 eighth notes. As you can see, these 8 notes are 8 altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now the same thing happens here. Each eighth note divides into 2 16th notes. Here's the same thing going on. This one divides into 2 16 notes. And the duration is always cut in half with each red bracket. So this is half a duration of this. This eighth note is half duration of this quarter note, and this 16th note is half the duration of this eighth note. So these 8 eighth notes make up 16 of these guys. 16 16 notes. Now let's look at and listen to an example of these note durations. We're actually looking at the same chart we just looked at, but we put it on a musical stave. We just use the note B as an example. We will discuss this later, and as you can see, this sign here, we haven't talked about it yet, but we will in detail in later lessons. So don't worry about that. We see the whole note here, followed by the half note, 2 of them, and followed by the quarter note, 4 of them, followed by the eighth note, 8 eighth notes, and 16 notes here. So let's take a listen. Could you hear how the note durations are cut in half every time a new note comes along? What we'll do now is that we will have a metronome playing in the back of the music. A metronome is a machine that simply plays a steady rhythm. In this case, is the rhythm of the quarter note. You will hear in the back of these notes, when this note plays, the metronome plays 4 notes like this. When this bar plays, the metronome always plays the same thing. He plays 4 quarter notes. Let's take a listen. As you could hear, the metronome was playing steadily in the background, quarter notes. The metronome was keeping the beat. A metronome is really useful for when you practice on your instrument. But let's do this one more time, and I will count with the metronome 4 counts to each bar. This is a bar, and this is a bar, this is a bar, this is 1 bar, and this is 1 bar. We will talk about bar and bar lines. This is a bar line here. We will talk about that in more detail later on. But let's take a listen. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get the idea? Good.